Imagine a ski area in Pennsylvania with almost 1,400 feet of vertical drop, on a mountain whose north-facing slopes hold snow in the shade for weeks or even months after it's gone in the valley below, with steep lines and old trails that remind you of some of the classics in New England. Tuscarora Mountain in the vicinity of Thompsontown, Pennsylvania, north of Harrisburg, has all of that. In the 1960s, some enterprising individuals bought up the lots on the north side of the mountain to assemble the land necessary to construct a ski area. The project would have been massive for its time, not just in Pennsylvania, but in the Northeast in general, spanning 1,400 vertical feet. By the early 1970s, trails and lift lines had been cut for Tuscanita Mountain. Some of the old logging tracks and possibly what would have been the upper mountain trails are still discernible in the woods today, and would have made for some of the best skiing in the state had they seen action. Narrow, twisting, and steeply pitched, the terrain on this mountain could have been some of the best in the state had the project ever found the right individuals to see it through. The Tuscanita group ultimately did not have the money to finish the area, and the lift lines and trails filled in. Until 1988, when SnowPeak opened. Now, you need to be introduced to John Hall Jr., son of the trucking magnate from Camp Hill outside Harrisburg. The Halls were known to be somewhat eccentric, but Jr.'s claim to fame was that he served time for wire fraud and stealing $4 million in bonds from his father's company. At some point, he decided he wanted to get in on the ski resort business, and to that end, he tried raising money for a planned development in Montana, to be called Ski Yellowstone. It was later accused of by the owners of Ski Round Top on behalf of Ski Yellowstone that Hall had illegally funneled money to himself from the project. He managed to raise $2.3 million from a bank in West Virginia, but to get more he needed either collateral or demonstration to investors that he could operate a ski area, or both. This interest brings us back to Tuscarora Mountain and the land assembled for the Tuscanita project. Now called Ski SnowPeak, the area was finally being opened, but Hall only managed to raise funds to build out about half the mountain. A snowmaking system, a lodge, and a fixed-grip quad chair from Borvig were installed in time for the 1988-89 ski season, but issues with snowmaking and warm weather complicated issues, and the opening was pushed back to 1989. Ski SnowPeak stands out as a lost ski area because of its late opening. It only opened for the 1988-89 ski season, after which many other lost ski areas had already been out of business for years. Since the area was never fully invested in, it was only built out about halfway up the mountain. This meant that the most challenging upper mountain terrain was never opened. The Halls were never particularly interested in the area, aside from its usefulness to push through their Ski Yellowstone project. They cut corners where they could, and the experience on the mountain suffered for that. By the early 1990s, it was apparent the Montana project was going nowhere. Ski SnowPeak never properly capitalized to begin with, and losing money now had no reason to exist, as the owners were not interested in the Pennsylvania resort apart from its usefulness in propping up their Western development interest. And so, after only 4 years in operation, SnowPeak closed in 1993. A year later, the lodge burned down. There was talk of reopening the area through the 1990s, maybe operating ski trains from Philadelphia, but none ever materialized. John Hall Jr., the rest of the Yellowstone group, and Ski Round Top entered a period of litigation. The mountain remained vacant, and eventually the land was split up and sold off. Still, when you visit the mountain today, you get a feel for what could have been. You can see why earlier skiers and the Tuscanita Mountain Group were attracted to the place 50 years ago. But some things just are not meant to be.